Every 40 minutes, a person goes missing in Pakistan, but not every disappearance ends in horror. Some cases, like that of Mustafa Amir, unravel into something far more sinister: a brutal murder, a web of lies, and a betrayal that no one saw coming. What happened to Mustafa? Stay with me as we uncover the chilling truth. Mustafa Amir was young, ambitious, and full of life, a name few knew before his tragic end. He wasn't just another missing person. He was a victim of something far darker. His case gripped the nation, exposing a world of deception, jealousy, and crime that would shock even the most hardened investigators. Tonight, we dive deep into a murder that was supposed to stay buried. What do you think about Mustafa Amir's case? Do you believe justice was truly served, or was this just the tip of the iceberg? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more dark, chilling crime stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the heart of Karachi, a city that never sleeps, where the neon lights cast eerie shadows on the damp streets, a chilling crime unfolded that would shake the foundations of trust and friendship. Mustafa Amir, a young and promising individual, vanished without a trace. His disappearance was the start of a nightmare that would expose dark secrets, a web of deception, and an unimaginable act of brutality. Mustafa wasn't kidnapped for ransom. He was lured into a trap and murdered in cold blood. The motive? A love triangle and a grudge. It all began on January 6, 2025. Mustafa Amir left his house at 8 p.m., saying he was going to meet a friend. He never returned. At a New Year's Eve party, Mustafa and Armagan had fought over a girl. Mustafa had humiliated Armagan in front of everyone. Armagan wanted revenge. On the night of January 6th, Mustafa walked into Armagan's house, never knowing he was walking into his own execution. For 3 hours, they beat him mercilessly with an iron rod, breaking his ribs. Then a gunshot, but they didn't stop there. They stuffed his lifeless body into a car, drove to the outskirts of Balochistan, and set the vehicle on fire, erasing all traces of their crime. The body was so badly burned, it took weeks for DNA to confirm it was Mustafa. Justice, however, was far from over. At first, his family assumed it was just a delay, maybe a late-night hangout. But as the hours turned into days, a sickening feeling took over. His phone, switched off. His social media, inactive. His friends, silent. Then, the unthinkable happened. A chilling ransom demand was sent to his mother. 20 million rupees. Pay up, or never see Mustafa again. But something was off. The kidnappers weren't making direct contact, and the police weren't convinced this was about money. The race against time had begun. Hours passed, then days. His phone went dead. His mother, Wajiha Amir, called his friends, but none of them had any answers. Then a message arrived, a ransom demand for 20 million rupees. The words were blunt, cold, calculated. Panic gripped her heart as she realized that something was horribly wrong. She went to the authorities, her voice trembling as she recounted the events. The Karachi police knew they weren't dealing with an ordinary kidnapping. Something far more sinister was at play. As the police dug deeper, they uncovered a chilling voice note from Mustafa's phone. It was a casual message, an invitation to meet up. The recipient, his childhood friend, Armagan. But when questioned, Armagan's responses were cagey. His eyes darted nervously, and his words lacked conviction. Why was he lying? What was he hiding? The deeper the police looked, the more inconsistencies they found. And then, a gruesome discovery turned the investigation into a full-fledged homicide case. It was an ordinary evening in Defense Karachi when police stormed Armagan's house. What they found inside was shocking. Armagan wasn't just an old friend of Mustafa's. He was someone with a hidden life, one filled with crime and corruption. As the police closed in, Armagan panicked. He reached for a gun. A single gunshot rang out in the night. The officers tackled him before he could escape, pinning him to the cold marble floor. They found bloodstains on his clothes, Mustafa's blood. But where was Mustafa? A tip-off led the police to the desolate outskirts of Balochistan. There, in the darkness of the desert, they found it, a burnt car. The metal twisted from the heat, the windows shattered. Inside, a charred body lay motionless, barely recognizable. Had Armagan and his accomplices truly gone this far? Had they not only taken Mustafa's life, but also tried to erase all evidence of their crime? Forensic teams worked tirelessly, collecting what little remained. DNA tests would confirm the unthinkable. Mustafa was gone. It wasn't just about money. It wasn't a simple crime. This was personal. Witnesses spoke of a heated argument between Mustafa and Armagan at a lavish New Year's Eve party. The reason? A girl. A silent war had been brewing between the two friends, fueled by jealousy and wounded pride. That night, Armagan made a decision. Mustafa had to disappear. On the night of January 6th, Armagan invited Mustafa over. It was supposed to be a casual get-together. Mustafa trusted him. He never saw the betrayal coming. The moment Mustafa stepped inside, the door locked behind him. Shiraz, Armagan's accomplice, emerged from the shadows, wielding an iron rod. The first blow struck Mustafa's ribs, knocking the wind out of him. For 3 hours, they tortured him. His screams echoed through the halls, but no one came to help. Then a final gunshot ended his suffering. The killers stood over his lifeless body, their hands shaking. They had crossed a line they could never return from. Thinking they had committed the perfect crime, Armagan and Shiraz wrapped Mustafa's body in plastic and stuffed it into the trunk of a car. The drive to Balochistan was long, silent, and filled with dread. Once there, they doused the car in gasoline and lit a match. Flames erupted, consuming the evidence, but the smell of burning flesh lingered in the cold night air. They thought they had won. They were wrong. As the days passed, the truth began to surface. The police uncovered Armagan's secret world, a fraudulent software house, a call center used for scams, and a dark network of drug deals and money laundering. This wasn't just a case of murder. This was a criminal empire collapsing. The noose tightened around Armagan's circle. Raids were conducted. Names surfaced. Some of them were well known, including the son of a prominent actor. One by one, they were dragged into custody, their crimes exposed under the unforgiving glare of the media. But the question remained, who else was involved? And how deep did this conspiracy go? While the city buzzed with speculation, one woman suffered in silence. Mustafa's mother stood at his grave, her tears falling onto the dry earth. She had lost a son, but she vowed to fight. She demanded justice, speaking out against corruption, against the powerful people who thought they could bury the truth. And the nation listened. The trial was a spectacle. The accused stood in shackles, their once arrogant expressions replaced with fear. Evidence mounted against them. Phone records, bank transactions, forensic reports. As the judge listened to the harrowing details, the courtroom fell into silence. This was not just a case. This was a reckoning. The verdict loomed. Would justice be served? As the city moved on, the shadows of Mustafa's murder lingered. His story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of how quickly trust can turn to betrayal, how a childhood bond can shatter into deadly vengeance. For some, justice would never be enough. For others, it was a warning. And for Mustafa Amir, his name would forever be etched in the annals of crime, his story never forgotten. The case of Mustafa Amir was more than just a murder. It was a revelation of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of power, money, and broken friendships. It was proof that even in a world filled with deception, the truth has a way of finding its way to the light. But at what cost? The answer lay in a grave marked with a young man's name, a name that should have never been lost to the fire of betrayal. Mustafa's death sent shockwaves through Karachi. His murder wasn't just a crime, it was a betrayal, a brutal execution by those he trusted most. Armagan and his accomplices were arrested, but the case exposed a deeper rot, a world of illegal businesses, scams, and hidden crimes that thrived in the city's underbelly. The question remains, how many more Mustafas are out there? How many more cases like this will go unsolved? Now I turn to you. What do you think about Mustafa Amir's case? Do you believe justice was truly served, or was this just the tip of the iceberg? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more dark, chilling crime stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And remember, trust is fragile. Choose wisely. Ooze.